Welcome back to another episode of Drivers4Drivers. I'm Ken Cox. Today we've got Francis Ham.
Hi.
Kenny Coons.
About got hung right there. Good now.
Oh my goodness. Behind the scenes we've got Danny.
Hi.
And we are
Drivers4Drivers.
This episode we're going to talk about, we've got some questions.
Yeah, this is pretty much a viewer episode. You guys have pretty much created this episode.
Yeah, this is all you guys. Appreciate that feedback and those answers and those questions and.
Absolutely.
EDCs, CDLs.
ABCDs,
Yeah.
OBCDs.
What?
He may have to put the definition at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I thought that was funny that you've never heard of a EDC before.
EDC.
What is EDC?
Everyday carry.
I don't know. My grandkids just told me what LOL is.
I bet you thought it was lots of love.
I did.
That's why his was always, every time he'd sign his thing to me, it was always with an LOL and then a heart. I didn't understand it.
Let me look at Danny. He's so sweet.
He's sweet. He's caring. So dang
Looks
huggable.
half his age.
What was the questions that I think?
So
that
I can't
came in?
remember. I can't remember who asked it, but somebody asked, "Hey, I'd like to know what everybody's everyday carry is. What is something that they make sure they have every time they go out and drive?"
Ironically, my sister had put on was it Facebook or was it YouTube?
I can't remember. I think it was Facebook.
Facebook and had asked, what are you going to do in a zombie apocalypse?
Yes.
And I'm like, well, we can't talk about that.
What do you do with all them tires when you're done with them?
But that also goes into EDC, everyday carry, of what we do on the truck and what we need. The last couple of weeks we've had some stellar snowstorms.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We had
Yes, we have.
a couple people run out of fuel, get stuck in the middle of the road, been sitting for a few days.
Here, make that face again, Francis, and say, and say, yes, it did, because I really want to zoom in on the face.
Yes, it did.
Keep staring at the camera.
Yes, it did.
Okay, you're
I don't
smi-
think
now you're
Francis
smiling
wanted to
too.
go home yesterday. Because you have no idea how much snow's in my driveway. That's right. I think I'll get my wife's prescription.
That's right.
EDC.
EDC.
Everyday carry.
What did you carry? What was your go-to, your bag, like items that you had on your truck every time
every
you left
time.
home?
Phone charger and an extra charger at all times.
At all times?
Really?
You never know. You break down, your phone charger ain't working. You can't call anybody. There's always a 911 on your cell phone, ain't there?
Yep.
Even if you have no service.
Yep. Newer phones,
But if you
especially
don't have
today.
battery to call that 911,
Yeah.
You're just not. It's about being prepared. Getting that Boy Scouts thing going.
especially when it's cold, you need a little TP, Kleenex.
What's TP stand for?
I think we.
Okay, so TP
You can
and
put that at the bottom of the screen.
yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Hey, huh.
So you would in your bag. I just picture you throwing your bag down on the driver's seat or the passenger seat, opening it up, and it's just got toilet paper and a charger, and that's it. That's all you have in your bag.
I can take on the world.
What is that? All you take? Extra? That you made sure you had every time.
Didn't say in my bag. You said everyday carry. Well,
Yeah, well, it
I'm
doesn't
in my
have to
truck
be.
every day.
No.
That's fair.
My bag's for stacks of Bibles.
Stacks and stacks of Bible racks.
I always hung my clothes in the closet. I didn't like wrinkled up clothes.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell a story. You may cut this out if you want. When I was a kid, my dad was at the hospital. My dad was in the military, and he was at the hospital, and I went there, and there was a young guy there. And anyhow, we were talking and stuff, and I never thought anything about it. He was in a bed, And then my dad had asked me if I'd go down to the cafeteria and get him a cup of coffee. And I said, sure. And this guy was there, and I just said, hey, you want to go with, And he goes, I'd love to, but I can't. And I thought, okay. And then I went and got coffee, and I come back, and then I found out that this guy, he didn't have any legs. He was amputees from the knees down. And it freaked me out when I was a kid. I didn't know any different, right? And so I thought, whoa, what happened? And he had told me that he was traveling in the wintertime. He was in Kansas. His vehicle had broke down, and there was a town that he could see lights. and he walked into town. But when he got into town, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning and everything was locked up. There was nobody around. And so he didn't have anywhere to go. So he turned around and walked back to his car and got in his car that night. And he was out of fuel. Car was broke down. It wouldn't run. And he ended up freezing, got a real bad frostbite on his legs, and they ended up amputating his legs. It's a terrible thing. And I seen that, and it made a mental mark on me. And I keep in my vehicle and my wife's vehicle, and I always kept it in the truck, is a travel bag. Like right now, if we were to walk out, I've got a blanket, I've got extra socks, I've got extra underwear, I've got towels, I've got everything that if I do get wet or whatever, I can put on dry, keep myself dried up, and I got a blanket to wrap up in. You know, that's an everyday carry in my personal vehicle. In the truck, I always had water in the truck, and I always had granola bars.
Hydration.
That's right. That's right. I always had those. I used to get those granola bars because they could last a nuclear war or whatever, you know. I had a couple of those boxes sitting back there. Mm-hmm. Next to never would I eat one, right? But I always thought, you know, if I ever broke down or something and I was hungry, I'd eat them.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You always got to carry food in the truck.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah.
That's a everyday carry.
Yeah.
And something that you can eat without having to prepare it a lot. Like, it's not going to do you any good to have a can of beans if you can't open the can. Or
Well, unless you like cold beans.
well, I mean, if you can't open a can of cold beans, like,
Well, I guess that's true.
yeah, you got to have, if you can't, and that's probably not a great example.
It is. It is. You have to have the implementation.
Yeah, you have to have the stuff to get
Yep.
into what you're eating.
Do you EDC?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you have?
I always have a like a pocket tool, I've got a
Multi-tool.
yeah, I've got a Leatherman, my wallet, and a pen and a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
I always got a watch and wallet.
Mm-hmm.
I got to know what time it is, how much money I got.
That's right. $7. I found that $200. I got the tux. Anyway.
Did you get a blue
will you
one?
send me a picture?
Nope.
I'll put it right here. What do you everyday carry?
I'm a little bit more extreme than some. With Mike, Tiff, and I owning and running the Last Stand Survival Shop, we tend to we put on classes for this stuff. We tend to do all this stuff. I have multiple different scenario bags of what an EDC is for me. If you go to my car, I have a bug out bag to where, so if, and it rotates and it changes for different, so I have the ability to go from Jerome back to my house and everything I need to make that journey. I've got maps of the area.
To go from Twin to Drum.
Yep.
He did say-
It's not right.
He said he was extreme, a little bit more extreme than most.
Right? It sounds ridiculous, right? But there's topographical maps. There's different game trails. There's different. So the roads are gone. Okay.
End of world stuff.
Not necessarily end of the world stuff. Let's say there was a major earthquake. Okay. We don't really get a lot of that here, right? If we do like a threat assessment or something like that, our biggest threats most likely
Flooding or
like flooding, Yellowstone exploding,
yeah.
that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Let's say there's a bunch of ash on the ground now. I got lava going down, whatever that part might be. The bridge is out, can't get across that way, right? So what's the other way? You go down through Hagerman, down that area. If that bridge goes out, that's a lot easier to get across than the 493 feet going down this side, across the river, and 493 back up, right? So there's game trails, like the maps I have are game trails, topographical, that kind of stuff.
That's your everyday carry?
I know
That's
this.
like we can go down to my car right now and I can open up a bag, and maybe I should bring some of that stuff in here.
Sure.
I don't know how long it's going to take me. Like in my head, I would think it might take, depending on what obstacles are in the way.
Hope you grabbed the right bag for the right,
I know.
right day.
You realize
How
you have
long?
the Jerome to Boise bag.
Son of a. So it might take me a couple days to get, from door to door, just because there could be 100,000 different things in the way. And I try to prepare for all of that. I've got radio that will reach from where I'm at back to home. So I'll be like, hey, Mike, send the chopper.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
I feel like this is like the Three Little Pigs. You got You got Kenny, who has toilet paper and a charger. And Bibles. Then you've got Francis, who's just right, you know. And then, or not the three little pigs. Sorry, the three bears. You got not a whole lot, way freaking a ton.
Yeah.
And then just right.
And just right. You know, and obviously there's food in there. There's water.
You have food? I don't think I had lunch today.
I'll go bust it open. I got some nice Weiss food.
Weiss food?
Weiss food. Yeah. Happened to be a dealer, so
Oh,
So is Weiss food like that freeze-dried stuff?
it is.
Okay.
Yep. This stuff isn't freeze dried. It's dehydrated.
So before, in your truck, would you carry that type of preparation as
Yep,
well?
It's the same concept, except for quite a bit more. Obviously, I mean, I've got eating utensils, enough water to get me through the day. There's multiple places to get water along the route, multiple ways to clean that water, whether it's through boiling, tablets, drops, charcoal, you know, that kind of stuff. Life straws, you know, that kind of stuff. Coleman, not a Coleman stove, it's a jet boil.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I can put my water in there. I can throw my boil up my water,
Yeah.
throw it into my Weiss food, mix it up, let it sit and go, and then eat. You know, pen and paper, knife, flashlight, TP, man wipes.
Oh, TP all the way.
Right.
Yep. And so, like when I was doing a lot of that California and stuff, coming back and forth, going through Amagrosa Valley, down near Death Valley, right? There's not a lot of stuff down there. So if I break down there, there's not a lot of reception. I got to get from point A to point B. I'm going to throw on my backpack and hoof it. When it comes to EDC, I tend to prepare for every situation. Now, you being a truck driver out on the road, it's been cold. You're stuck in the median.
Yep.
Tow trucks aren't coming out because the roads are too bad.
you better have a coat.
Yeah, you're going to need a coat. Do you have enough fuel that you can sit there for a few days? Mm-hmm. All right, I just ran out of fuel or it gelled up. My truck's no longer running. Mm-hmm. My bunk heater's only going to last long enough until I'm out of fuel or it gets plugged. It gets plugged. The filters on those are tiny and they can cause issues. I always had issues with ours up in Wyoming. For whatever reason, my bunk heater never wanted to work in Wyoming. Mm-hmm. So now I got to be able to stay warm. I don't want to have to worry about
Getting your legs amputated.
We're going to scare
Yeah.
these guys. They're not going to want to leave I-10.
Yeah. Did you guys see on the Giltner Drivers Facebook page the post that Dave put of the winter? I think it was just outside of his window. He was showing how bad the wind and snow was. That was weather at an extreme I have never seen.
At a minimum, you're going to want to be able to stay hydrated. And I know I say that a lot, but at a minimum, you want to stay hydrated. You can drink water and not eat for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think-
Yeah, for sure.
You want to make sure you've got plenty of foods. You want to make sure that you can stay warm. You want to be able to charge your phone and signal for help if it comes down to it. These are the things that you need to have on you and on your truck so that you can go home to mom and to mom and dad.
to mom.
That's
What do you EDC?
Yeah, just tell us in the comments for a chance to get some Giltner swag.
I have a Giltner backpack.
All right. We'll do it.
Absolutely.
On that, we have another question from a viewer. Why are there so many semi-tires out on the road? What causes them to fall apart?
Them alligators?
Yeah, I'd never heard of that term.
Yeah, the alligator on the zipper.
Yeah. You don't want a gator flying at you, that's for sure.
I
There's
actually,
more in the summer than there is the winter, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
Well, because the pavement's hot and you're doing 80 miles an hour. Don't let Greg know.
is it just because the tire's gotten so old that it starts falling apart, or what causes that to?
Low pressures, things of that sort will blow the tire. They get hot and they will come apart.
Yes, they will.
They do. Recaps are bad that way if they're not done properly. And the lower pressure causes them to squat, which causes the sidewalls to heat up, and which causes, that you'll inflate a little bit, but it puts a lot of added stress on the sidewalls. And if you've got your inner and outer tire sidewalls
Thinner.
Closer
thinner,
together.
they're closer together, and as you're going down the road, they start rubbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boop, 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 and then they blow, and then
The other thing they do, Danny, if you can imagine this, you have a sidewall on the tire, right? Like this is the sidewall. Or where it's on the ground, it's bowed like that because it's holding the weight. Well, as that tire's rolling, that bow is changing. The next part of the tire as it rolls forward goes to bow, and then this one straightens out as it goes up, right? Because that bow is just going around and around. And every time it does that, it's building heat in that tire. So the more pressure you have in there that supports it, the better off you are. The lower air pressure you have allows it to bend as it's rolling, creating more and more heat in the tire. So that's why properly inflated tires mean so much. You know, to keep them inflated correctly, you keep away from building that heat.
Bald tires get hotter too because there's metal showing.
Spark.
So that was a great question, you guys. Keep sending those questions in. We love answering questions like that.
Absolutely. You got a safety topic?
I do. We're talking about tires. Let's talk about tires, and we're in winter. We're putting on a lot of chains. So just want to throw something out there as far as chains go. There's a correct way to have the chain wrapped around the tire, and there's an incorrect way. Those chains have hooks on the ends of them. You want to make sure that those hooks are pointing out away from the tire and not into the tire, because it will start cutting into the sidewall of your tires. So when you put those chains on, make sure you're putting them on the correct way with the hooks pointing out, cam locks on the outside. We talked a little bit before the podcast about you tightening up your cam locks, and people do it different ways. But starting from the bottom is probably the preferred way. Tighten your cam lock down low and work your way up to the top. That way you can get some leverage on it on the top side. You're not all the way down on your hands and knees trying to tighten that up. And then make sure you use your bungee cords. You know, I know pulling forward a little bit will get the slack out of the chain to where it's around the tire, and then hook up your bungee cords and get it all nice and tight. Make sure everything's good to go, and then proceed on your route, you know.
You had also mentioned the bungee cords. You want to make sure that the bungee cord isn't poking towards the tire.
The hook on the bungee cord, you want to make sure it's not into the sidewall of the tire.
And he's talking about the cross links that go actually over the tire that has the hooks. You want those hooks facing away from the tire, is what he's meaning.
Yep.
Question. Mm-hmm. How did you chain up on your wagon wheels?
Did they make chains for wooden wheels?
I was kind of cut off. You haven't used that for a while.
They just cut
They just cut.
spikes in the wood.
They were steel tread.
Well, closing thoughts.
I want to thank you guys for everything you're doing out there. You know, everybody's doing a great job. Really appreciate it. Stay safe. Keep up the great work, and we really appreciate everything you're doing.
Danny, closing thoughts?
I just echo everything that Francis said. You guys are amazing. Keep it up.
Kenny, closing thoughts?
Well, I was thinking about the Dave Shattuck
Dave Chadwick?
Yes.
Yep.
and that pictures of what he was driving through. Let's keep in good mental health. Start the day with a good breakfast and keep your mental health in good standing. It's very important to your livelihood and your health to stay in good mental health. So
We do have an episode on that. It might be on the other
I'll
account.
put. Yeah, if I remember, I'll put in a link in the comments.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
Awesome.
Description.
Again, thank you guys for everything that you're doing out there. Remember, those recruiting dollars only help you. We've got a couple extra trucks, so let's get them filled. Remember, you're the eyes and ears on the road. If you see something, say something. Thanks for making the better move.
Thanks.
see ya.